going to be the rawest, realest video that I have ever made in my almost 32 years of living. I'm gonna try my hardest not to cry, but I feel like I need to make this video not just for myself, but possibly for someone who is experiencing the feelings that I'm feeling and, you know, don't know how to verbalize those emotions, and just to know that you are not alone, and no matter how good people make their life seem, somebody's always going through something, and whether big or small, someone is always going through something and can always use a listening ear, a hug, or just anything. So I want to give like a backstory. Well, first of all, hey y'all, my name is Kaya. How y'all doing? Come in, welcome, stay, listen. If this is for you, I hope it resonates. If it isn't, then just leave me a nice, loving message in the comments. That's all I can ask for. So yeah, a bit of a backstory. Back in, I believe, I always forget because I be wanting to push it out of my brain, but I want to say it was 2019 because I know, 2019 because I know it was around New Year, so I think I started my program in 2020. So yeah, 2019 New Year's, I think it was the day before, I was dating someone and we got into a physical altercation, and which led for him to put his hands on me. I don't want to insert any pictures because I don't want to get the video flagged. But yeah, I had dated that guy for 6 years off and on, and then that last year that we were together, it was forced, just trying to make it work because we had been together for so long. He had been a part of my son's life for so long, and so yeah, we were just trying to make it work because we were comfortable. So yeah, that happened, I want to say December 30th, 2019, and then I'm referencing that because that is when the spiral began. And it's crazy. I'm trying my hardest. I do not want to cry, but I'm reading this book, The Garden Within by Dr. Anita Phillips, and it speaks on how you are supposed to live in your emotions, and know that it's not a bad thing to be emotional or have emotions. But yeah, that's when the spiral began. I went very dark, because one, nothing like that has ever happened to me, and two, you know, you love somebody and you just never think that they would do that to you. You know, you hear it in other people's lives or other people's stories, and you just never think that it would be you. So yeah, I just went into a very deep depression. I started drinking more. I started smoking more than usual, because I've always been a smoker, but I was doing anything, and I don't want to say anything and everything, because when I say anything and everything, I'm referencing to drinking and smoking just to not deal with the pain and just almost put it in my mind and pretend like it never happened. Even though I had the bruises, I had the scars, I still lived in the apartment where the incident happened. So it was just like I was constantly running, and yeah, that night was the day that I feel like I truly lost myself, because I had given so much to this person, and it sucked that it was just taken away just like that. And I'm not gonna say like everything that happened and transpired in our relationship was solely on him. I had my moments, but it was just, I don't know where we got to in our relationship where it led to that. And I will say that, in my opinion, the day that it happened, I don't see where my actions led to him putting his hands on me. Other than the fact that we got into an argument. But outside of that, I don't think the argument in itself should have went the way that it went. So anyways, that's kind of like where everything all started, where the depression started. And I want to say, so that happened December 2019. And I want to say it may have been, I don't know, because I don't want to say I blocked everything out, but it's something that I don't know. My mind is just choosing not to go back into that time period of my life. But I want to say it was February of 2020. It could have been February or March. Again, I don't remember. I had sent a video to like 5 people, and these 5 people were like, at the time I considered my starting 5. I sent it to my mom. It may have been more than 5 people. I sent it to my mom. I sent it to both of my sisters. I sent it to my son's dad. I sent it to my best friend at the time. And then I sent it, and so it might have been 6. And I sent it to another friend. And basically it was just, when I sent that video, it was a goodbye video. I basically was expressing to them how I love them and how I appreciated, everyone being there for me. And then told them that basically if you're receiving this video, then you mean a lot to me. And basically at this point, once you see this video, don't come looking for me. And in that moment, I was so low. Like I said, I felt like I had lost myself. I didn't know who I was anymore. I didn't know who Kaya was. I was fighting every day just to get up and go to work and be a good mom and take care of my son and just do life all together. Yeah, it was hard. And so yeah, at that point I was just over it. I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. I was frustrated. But yeah, at that point I was over it. I was done with life. I just couldn't see the purpose anymore. And so I sent that video out. And then I don't know, I know it was a weekday. My son was at school. I sent that video, and then I left my house in the intentions of doing something to harm myself. Didn't know what, just knew that that's what I had wanted, and some way, in some shape or form, I was going to make it happen with the intentions of doing something. And immediately, and I don't know, I feel like I either turned my phone off or I put my phone in airplane mode so I wouldn't receive any calls from anybody that I sent the video to. And of course my mother and my sisters, they immediately sprung into action, came to my place. When they came to our place, obviously I wasn't there, so they ended up calling the police, and they ended up calling the police. The police never found me. I ended up just driving, and it ended up at a park, and I was just sitting there literally bawling my eyes out, trying to figure out what it is that I was going to do to kick it. And then I don't know what came over me, that I just ended up going home. And when I got home, I can't remember if they were at my house, but I feel like that they were. Because if I'm replaying, I feel like we were in my room when we were talking about everything. But then again, I don't know. Either way it goes, I ended up coming home and talked to my family and things like that. Got everything squared away. And at that point, I knew... At that point, I knew that I was not going to be able to do this by myself. I had been harboring a lot of feelings, and I think that was just like a buildup. It was a ticking time bomb, and at that point, I was ready to blow, and I just knew that I wasn't going to be able to do it by myself anymore. And I told my mom that day, I said, because one, I've never been diagnosed with a mental illness, but I will say when I was a teenager, probably maybe 13 and on up, I always had feelings, just never knew exactly what it was. I always went through the motions, just never could pinpoint exactly what the issue was with me. And so, yeah, that day I told my mom, I was like, I want to go get evaluated. I said, because I know something in me is not right. And I think the next day we were at Millwood. If you're in Texas, you know what Millwood is. And I went and spoke to her. I spoke to one of the therapists, and basically did the evaluation, which led to them saying that I wasn't quote unquote crazy enough to be admitted, but crazy enough that I needed to do an outpatient program. And so that started probably within the following week or so. I went through their outpatient program, and it was good. There I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. They prescribed me Prozac, and then also a sleeping pill, because I had been trouble sleeping, as far as like either falling asleep or staying asleep throughout the night. And now that I'm thinking about it, I'm pretty sure it was PTSD from living in the apartment where the incident happened, so I didn't sleep. And so yeah, I did the outpatient program. It was very helpful. At the time, I will say that it was very helpful. It gave a lot of coping skills and, you know, things that I could use. So if I'm ever having, or feel like I'm about to have an episode, you know, things that I can use to be better. And then I also liked it because it was a group thing, and again, like I said at the beginning of the video, it was helpful to know that I wasn't alone in my feelings, and that granted our situations and stories weren't the same, but we were all going through something, and we were able to express and have an outlet to get those feelings off, so that way we aren't holding them in. And that was the one thing that I liked about that group. And I actually met two wonderful people. I mean, granted, we're not as close as we was when we first met, but just to see them thriving, it's good. And so that was in 2020. So You know, I've never technically had any more episodes of wanting to off in a while. Maybe thoughts, but it's physically wanting to go through with it. I haven't had any since that particular time. But I've had and I'm going to pause real quick. I will say, yes, when I was in the program, I was prescribed the Prozac. But when you finish the program, you were supposed to find your own, outsource your own therapist, so that way you can continue your care. And me, stupidly, didn't do so. Just was like, oh, okay, this is good enough for me. I'm fine. I can figure out how to manage things on my own. And then too, also insurance sucks, so it was just like I don't really necessarily have the money to pay out of pocket. So it was just like a lose-lose altogether, because I wasn't able to find something within my insurance, and then couldn't find anything inexpensive to where I can pay out of pocket. And so yeah, so let's fast forward a couple of years. 2021 was okay. Again, I felt like I was just going through the motions and just, living, trying to make the best of the best. And then we were in COVID at the time. And then 2021, I started talking back to my daughter's father, and ended up getting pregnant with her in 2021, May of 2021, had her January 2022. Well, technically I got pregnant in April, but I found out I was pregnant in May. Had her January 2022. And then that little course of that relationship, it was hard too, because I find myself just wanting to give again, because I wasn't in a fully healed state to where I was just solely focused on myself. Well, I wouldn't say that, because at that time he was the first person that I had dated since the incident with my ex, and so I wasn't really focused on a relationship. I really was trying to heal myself and work through finding myself again. And I could say that I was on the way of doing so, and then I got sidetracked when I started back talking to him, and kind of just threw everything out of the window, because obviously the honeymoon stage is always nice. It always seems good. And so yeah, like I said, I got pregnant with her, and then once I got pregnant, I don't want to say that's when things started going downhill, because prior to me even getting pregnant, it was already going downhill. I feel like it was a forced relationship. And not to speak negative on him, because I don't want to put that out there, because it's not my place to tell anybody how they are, who they are, what they are, whatever. That's your business. You do you, and I'm gonna do me. But at the time, it moved very, very quickly. So his birthday was January, and we started back talking, because I told him happy birthday, and then by March he was moving into my place, and then by April I was pregnant, and then I found out in May, and it was just a lot of things that happened that shouldn't have happened. And it was just moving too fast on my part, because I'm a hopeless romantic. I want to be loved. I want to love. And so me having my blinders on, I didn't see the red flags. I didn't pay attention to any of them. We was at Six Flags, and we was on the roller coaster, and we was having a grand old time. And so that relationship also ended, I don't want to say in physical abuse, because we did get into an altercation where I had to kick him out of my house. And it wasn't like he didn't put his hands on me. We were just ruffling, tuffling. But at that point, I was just like, I just can't do this, because I don't know. I had to stop and really think to myself, like, why do I keep putting myself in these predicaments with men? It has to be something within me to where I'm constantly attracting these type of men, and ignoring all of the signs, and just I ignore the signs and just think that, oh, okay, he'll change. Or I look at the potential and just see, I look at the potential, I make up who I want you to be in my head, and see that you can get there. And then the moment that you aren't doing that, that's when I get irritated. And then that's when the problems start happening, because I'm forcing my expectations on you and not realizing that that's not who you are. You are who you are. And there's nothing that I can do to change that. So I had to take a huge step back after that situation, and was just like, bro, this is not me. This is not who I want me to be. And these are not the type of men that I want to date. And at that point, I was just off of men. I'm gonna say off of men. I wasn't in a relationship. Me and my son's father, we back and forth consistently since middle school. So that's always a up and down situation. But as far as like being with someone, I haven't been in a relationship since, well, me and my fast forward to 2024, me and my son's father, we did date for a while, but that ended not on a bad note. Basically both agreeing that we have a lot of things to work on within ourselves, and it's only right that we get ourselves together before trying to pursue anything, because it's only gonna get worse if we're trying to build a union and our foundation is broken. As far as our individual foundations are broken. So, but we're cool, we co-parents and things like that. But I will say, we're in 2025 now, but last year I could say that I was going through a lot mentally that I never really spoke on to anyone. Like I said, I had my daughter in 2022, and this past year has been really rough with her, simply because she's nonverbal, and she may be autistic, but we'll find that out at the end of this month. And so it's just been really hard to deal with her, because one, like I said, she's nonverbal, she doesn't talk. So when she's frustrated, I don't know how to help her. She doesn't know how to tell me what's wrong. And so the lack of communication there starts to take a toll on someone. And just, not even to put everything on her, just being an adult and trying to provide and just going through your own life, and then your own thoughts in your head, and then adding that on top of it, it's just like mentally I have just been stuck, and I'm tired. And what's today? Today is Sunday, January 19th. I would say within this past week or so, I was just like, you know what? I just can't. I can't do it anymore. I can't do it anymore because I don't know. I'm just lost, and I feel helpless because I want to help my daughter, but it's just like I don't know how to help her. And it gets frustrating because I feel like, to me, she's only upset because she doesn't know how to express herself. And so, like I said, it starts to take a toll, because on top of her being nonverbal, and she has outbursts, she throws tantrums, and she yells, she screams, she hits, and it's just like, it's only so much that I can take, and I feel like I'm at a breaking point, and it's just like, bro, just girl, do whatever you want to do at this point, because I don't know what to do. And granted, her getting the evaluation at the end of the month will put some ease on me, because if she is autistic, then boom, we can go and figure out our next steps as far as therapy goes, and learning how to coexist and be a unit together. Because one, I'll get the tools to help her and she'll learn ways to help herself. So that is a bright side of within the situation, but I feel like it still doesn't take away the fact of how I feel, and just how I'm not gonna say that I don't have any help, because yes, my mother and my sisters will be here for me in a drop of a dime, but it's just like I'm one of those parents that I don't want to burden you guys with my children, because they're my children and I had them, and it is my responsibility to take care of them. And I know you have your own life, and I don't want to keep pushing my daughter onto you, but it's just like sometimes I literally will sit in the shower and I would just cry, because I am so mentally drained, dealing with work life, and then having to come home and deal with the tantrums, and it just not being able to communicate. Bro, I be losing my shit, and it's just like I don't know how much more of it I can take, and it's taking a toll on me mentally, to where it's just like, damn, is this really life? Is this life? It can't be. And it may sound horrible, and I feel like I'm not really getting everything out as far as like what I want to say, but in a nutshell, your girl is tired. I'm so tired, and I hope and I pray that with the evaluation, I do finally get the answers that I've been searching for and looking for, and hopefully this will start the process of us being able to communicate with one another. And I know life in itself is just gonna be hard, but it's just, and I really need to get back into therapy, because it's easy to talk to your family and your friends, but to me, it's biased, because they know you. And so they'll be like, oh, that's just how you are, or whatever. And not to say that the advice is not good, but it's not, no, it's not what I want to hear. I really need help. And it's just different coming from a therapist. They don't know me from a can of paint. They're actually getting to know me, and they what's the word I'm looking for? The only thing I can think of, they break down and they get to the root of the problem. And it's just like I said this last week to one of my friends, or like a week ago, 2 weeks ago. I said it to my friends that I had wanted to reach back out to my old therapist that I did start seeing last year, to see if she is taking clients, because I loved her. I just had to stop seeing her because, again, my job, they switched insurance and it was trash, and the copay was just like, bro, it's either keep a roof, your car, and food in the house, or be able to see your therapist every 2 weeks. And so it was just like, well, I need a roof, I need a car, and I need food in my house. So I had to stop seeing her. But love her down, and hopefully she is willing to take me back as a client, because I don't want to have to go through the process of finding another one. But then again, I am open to it, because and I want to say that it was a plus and a negative. The plus that my former therapist, we were close in age, and so like she could understand. But then negative, because we are young, and I want guidance, and I feel like that would come more with a lady that is older. And not to say that she didn't help me at all, because that's not the case. But what I'm looking for now in this stage of therapy is guidance, and I more so a mentor than to make it feel like a therapist. So yeah, that's what's going on with me. But I'm also making this video for me, so that way I can look back in 6 months, a year, whatever, and see that I made it through. I know it's going to be a hard journey, and I know every day is different. But I want to make a promise to myself that I will not let this defeat me. And I am going to do the work and better myself and heal myself and find me again and get my joy back, because the person that I am as of right now, I don't know who she is. I feel like somewhat of a prisoner in my own body because I don't know this person. And I've gotten too comfortable with being okay with just not being okay. And I don't want to live like that anymore. I want to be happy. I want to be more vibrant. I want to be more active. I just want, hey daughter, I just want to be a better version of me than I was last year. And to know that I got this. So yeah, I hope me telling my story helps someone else tell their story, or even take the time to realize that, hey, I'm not okay, and take that next step to bettering yourself. Because like I said, whether big or small, we're always going through something, and we could always use a lending ear or some type of help to get us through. But yeah, that's my TED Talk. Like I said, 6 months, a year, whenever I come back, I'm going to be the absolute best version of me that I've ever been in these almost 32 years of living. And you can clock it. But yeah, thank you for listening. If you made it through the whole entire video, I know I rambled a lot and probably got off subject, but in my head, I feel like I got everything out that I needed to say. So it may not make sense to you, but it definitely makes sense to me, and this definitely helped somewhat relieve some of that stress off of my shoulders, because I was able to just talk and say how I feel and say what I've been holding back and holding in. But yeah, thank you, and until next time. Still gonna hold on.